YouTube. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can make a reusable plastic stencil with or without a cutting machine and show you a bonus DIY, so stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Courtney and this is Creative on the Cheap, where I like to do budget-friendly DIYs and home decor and show you DIY tips, tricks, and techniques. So today's video is a DIY triple T, and I'm calling it that because honestly, I don't want to keep saying tips, tricks, and techniques. So there you go, triple T, DIY triple T. It's a thing. In case you didn't know, I've already done several of these type videos. There is a playlist on my channel. It's called the DIY Diaries, and that is where all of my DIY triple T videos are gonna go. I will link it down below in case you're interested in seeing what you've missed so far. All right, now let's just get straight into how are we going to do this. So the stencil blanks I have been working with so far are these show-offs, and a glare is in full force. Sorry guys. The show-offs, there we go. And it says stencil blanks, okay? Now, these were $3.99 at Hobby Lobby, and you got 3 of them in a pack. I did go online and try to see if I could find other places that sell this specific one, and I couldn't. I mean, maybe I didn't do the best search in the world, but I did look places like Amazon. I just went into Google and searched it, and Hobby Lobby was the one that kept coming up. Now, what I like about these, first of all, like I said, $3.99 for 3. If you get them half off, it's $2 for 3. I like them because they are 12 inches wide, which makes it great for the cutting mats, and 18 inches long, which means you can make a larger stencil with them. Now, the key on the stencil blanks is this. You have to look at the thickness of the stencil blank. The thinner the stencil blank, the easier it will be for you to use a cutting machine or not. Once it starts getting thicker, you start to limit, especially if you don't have a cutting machine, how you can make the stencils, and I'll explain that a little bit more later on. So basically, that's the key point. You want to look at the thickness of your stencils. So this one right here, according to Hobby Lobby's website, is 0.2 millimeters thick. Now, I will say this, after realizing that this stencil wasn't available many places but Hobby Lobby, I went on Amazon and I started to search. I went in and read countless amounts. There were a lot of stencils that were like 8 by 10, some that were 12 by 12, but finding the longer ones was kind of tricky. I finally came upon one that was 15 sheets, and what I liked about it was, number one, the reviews were awesome. Number two, it advertised that it was for cutting machines or not. And then number 3, it was 12 by 24, which means it would fit your entire large mat, and you can make, you know, you're gaining 6 inches. So I did order those yesterday, and when I get them in, I will mess with them, and then at the end of this month, you guys know I do, at the last day of every month, I have that DIY supplies, favorites, fails with home decor, anything that I tried basically during the month. I let you guys know what I bought and tried and tell you about it. So with those new stencils I just ordered, I'll give you an update on February 29th about those. I might put up a quick IGTV video using the new stencils, but I'm not going to put another one up on my channel because that would be kind of silly to have 2 of the same type video on this channel. So, all right, so that's pretty much it for stencil blanks. Again, these are the show-off stencil blanks. You can buy them at Hobby Lobby. I will also link down the ones that I just ordered and let you know what I think about them later this month. So let's get in to those of you who have a cutting machine. How are you going to turn this into a stencil? So I'm going to start by getting my stencil paper onto my mat. Now, you realistically don't want to start messing with this until you know what size, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it because I know whatever is left over on this is what I'm going to use to show those people who don't have a cutting machine. So your first technical step will be to set your dimensions of your design so you know how big to cut this. So assuming this is the size you need, this next part is the hardest part of this DIY. So when you look at your stencil paper, like there is a film on it, okay? Now I want to show you something. Peeling this film off is no easy task. I'm not gonna lie. I just wanted to kind of show you that it is a pain in the booty. Like, I'm being honest. This is the worst part. Sometimes it comes off great and it's super fast. Other times it's like this where you're sitting here going, I'm gonna turn on a Netflix movie and hope that I get this off by the time it's over. But again, sometimes you might get lucky. I'm just being honest, guys. So I cheated and went ahead and worked on a piece. It only took me a couple minutes. Okay, so here's the film. Okay, you can see, and you're just pulling this off. So what you end up having is this one, and a Piper hair. One side that's really super shiny, and then this is considered the matte side. I know it looks shiny on camera, but when you're looking at it in person, it's pretty obvious which one's the matte side. So your shiny side, the one that you just peeled off the layer, is the one that faces up. We're gonna take off, oh my gosh, you guys, Piper, my lab, you guys, okay. Her hair is everywhere. We are in shedding season. Okay, so I'm gonna take my cutting mat or my stencil and set it down on my mat. And then I'm just taking my brayer because I feel like it does a good job making sure it gets stuck down there, but you can use a scraper, card, whatever you have. Just wanna make sure your stencil is down all the way. And then this part of the project is ready to go. This is prepped, ready to feed straight into your cutting machine. Enjoy that nice Catalina Island there. All right, so what you're gonna do is open up your Cricut. Open this up, and I'm just gonna go in and click New Project. Then I'm gonna go in and go ahead and type in the word summer. And I'm gonna go, move it up so you guys can really see what I'm doing here. So to speed up this next part, all I'm doing is making my design. Once the design is finished, you want to make sure that all your letters are attached, they're welded. Again, this is for the Cricut. And then once you have your design ready to go, there's nothing else special you need to do, you can go ahead and hit make it. Now, this is for, I'm just gonna get this here. Again, the setting I'm using is for this specific show-off brand that I talked about earlier. So once I've got that, I'm gonna hit continue. And now it's time to pick our, I'm sorry about my dog. I've been trying to shoot this over and over again. Now I have the poster board setting saved right here already. But if you do not, you can go in here, click browse all materials, and that first category, artboard, it will be there. Right here is the poster board, or you can just type in the word poster board up in the search bar. Either way does it. But that is the setting that we want, is poster board. So I'm gonna click on that. And then once I've done that, let me turn my camera so you guys can see what's happening over here. It's time to load our stencil into the Cricut. Oh my gosh, you guys, sorry, dogs, real life, what can I say? All right, that's been loaded. And now we are ready to hit the button, and it's going to start cutting. All done. I took it out, and now I'm just gonna move it over to the table, and then let's see what we've got. Okay, here it is. So what I recommend to get it off of here is go ahead and flip your mat over, and then just peel like this. What you have left is this. Now, what you need to make sure of is if you are working with words in particular, or anything that has a center, if it has a center piece, you need to make sure that you get that piece. So for the R, I can get this off here, there we go. I need this center piece, okay? There we go. So now you kind of have two options. You can keep these letters and trace over around the letters if you want, or you've got this part of this stencil. So what I'm gonna do now is making sure I don't lose this little piece, which I probably will, but you know. I'm gonna go ahead and trim my stencil down. That says summer. So now you're probably thinking, okay, that's great, Courtney, but what about that R? So here is the thing that you're gonna wanna do to use this and keep it where you can make sure that you have this little center since it's not attached to your stencil. I hope that makes sense. I don't know what I just said, but basically what I'm trying to say is, let me show you the trick to this. Okay, here we go. So I've got this nice, lovely piece of cardboard here that was left over from an IKEA project. Oh, look at me, just losing the little center there. Okay, there we go. All right, so what you're gonna wanna do with your stencil, regardless of where you put it, and you guys have seen me use these kind of stencils in 2 tutorials now, I think. The actual I don't even know when I did it. What am I saying? Who knows? Okay, so you wanna take down your stencil. Good old Dollar Tree. There's probably a couple different ways you could do this. You could put some spray adhesive on it and stick it down. It just depends on what work surface you're going on. Or might I recommend some glue dots. And the reason I think glue dots work really well, and I'm gonna use the permanent, is because what happens is it kind of prevents paint from leaking underneath the piece of stencil, if that makes sense. So by putting this on top, it kind of makes a barrier. So I'm gonna put my little stencil dude on top of that dot and peel it off. Make sure none of it's sticking out anywhere. Then I'm gonna take it and stick it where I want it, which is right about there, I guess. Oh yeah. Okay. Now, once that's done, you're gonna go ahead and start stenciling. So for your viewing pleasure, I will do that. Oh, now when it comes to this, you're gonna want to, just like with any kind of, now with the vinyl stencil, you don't have to do this as much, but I recommend, you know, getting some paint on there, dabbing off the extra, and then just kind of holding your stencil down. I hope I'm in camera shot here, yep. And you're just gonna, you know, dab, dab, dab. All right, okay, so I'm just gonna do the R because, well, I'm just gonna do the R. All right, so now that's done. So I'm gonna pull up my stencil. Okay, that's fine because that's the edge of the E, so that's okay that those yellow lines are there. Now for that part, I've got my little tool here. That's kind of a joke. Okay, yeah, works great. All good, people. It's all good. Let me zoom you in. Oh, look at that. Let me zoom you in on my little R there. Dun, 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 dun. So there you have it. Let me know down below if you have any questions. And now I'm gonna get into showing you how to do it without a cutting machine. Okay, now we are moving on to those of you who don't have a cutting machine or you just don't want to use your cutting machine. So your first step is going to be just like it was for the cutting machine project. For this particular stencil, it has a film on it, so you want to peel it off. And then you're left with this super shiny side on the top, and then this kind of matte side. I know it probably looks shiny on camera, but all right, so you wanna work with the shiny side up, the one that you just pulled this off. So there's a couple ways you can do this. Number one is you can just go in here and draw the design that you want your stencil to be. So I'm gonna go in and just draw a heart. Not very well, but there you go. All right, so I've drawn a heart. Let me zoom you all in so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Here's my heart. Now, to cut this out, there's a couple different ways you can do this. Number one is you could go in and poke scissors and, you know, cut it out that way. You could also use any kind of little X-Acto knife that you might have. I'm gonna be using a little craft knife that I got because my good buddy Jennifer from Little Bit of Common Crazy uses these little things, and I keep telling her I'm not good at it. So I'm not gonna give up, Jennifer. I'm not gonna give up. All right, so I'm gonna start with this one, and then I'm just gonna go in and start cutting. And I'll go into this guy. Okay. All right. Like, I just don't feel like I have control with it, but I mean, it's a cool concept. Oh, you know what? Okay, maybe I'm getting better at this. Okay, Jennifer. I'm feeling good here. All right. Huh. Oh. Okay, so now that that's done, I started punching it before I even, there we go. Okay, you cut it out and voila, you have a stencil. And of course, you know, I didn't do a super good job staying on the black lines. And this is gonna take a little bit of, you know, practice as far as getting it just right, but you can go in and kind of trim it, do what you wanna do. All right, so that is your first option, is to draw your own design, and then you can cut it however you want. Now let me show you option 2. You can print something, whether it's words or an image or whatever, on your computer, print it out, and then what you would do, now the reason I'm using this is because my printer doesn't work. I'm in the market for a new printer, so this just had text. So let's just pretend I printed out this give thanks on my computer, okay? You take your stencil and put it on top of your printout like this. And then you would just take your Sharpie marker and trace your design. So here's our stencil all traced out, ready to be cut out. So again, you can use your little, if you have small blade finger cutter knife things, you can use an X-Acto knife, you can go in with scissors, but the other option is you can also burn out your stencil. Now, they do make something at Hobby Lobby. They called it a stencil burner. Do I own it? Yes. Do I know where it is? No. I do not know where it is because I've never used it. I just kind of messed around with my wood burner, and I realized when I got that stencil burner home, it's pretty much like a wood burn. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. So with the stencil, obviously, the thinner the sheet, the lower the temp you're gonna want. The thicker the sheet, the higher the temp, because you want a fast burn versus a slow burn on the thicker. Because if you think about it, if it's thick and you're pushing down in pressure, you have more chance of it kind of being jagged and uneven because you're having to pull it slower because the heat is slower. But you don't want it too hot because it will melt it and make it go pfft. So there, you know, you have to kind of find the happy medium based on the thickness of your stencil. But that is another option, to use a burning tool. I really wish, if I can find it before this video goes live, I'll put a picture of it up. But I mean, it's essentially the same thing. You just take it and you run it along the edge, and you're good to go. All right, so I finished burning this. For the most part, it's pretty straight. There's a few little places here and there that have a little bit of places where I need to, because when you're burning, you have to work fast on the lines because it just kind of melts right through. So there you go, not too bad as far as using the burning for this. So there you have it. This is how you make some of these stencils. A nice thing about the centers of the letters, if you use the glue dots, you can just stick them onto the stencil and it'll stay with your stencil. So that's really nice. So there are a couple different ways to make stencils. So now what I'm going to go into is the quick tutorial for how to store vinyl. And then at the very end of this video, I have a challenge question for you that I would love for you to answer in the comments. So let's get into this quick $1.50 vinyl storage DIY. For this DIY, you're gonna need some plastic shower rings. You can pick these up at Dollar Tree. And then you're gonna need 2 pieces of either an old sign, a piece of wood, what have you. I'm just gonna use these 2 oval circles so that you have a base and a top to your vinyl storage. Now I just need to get this glitter off, so I'm just doing my Goo Gone trick to scrape it off, and then I will go ahead and paint these with 2 coats of the Waverly chalk paint. Now, before I started working, I did clean these. You can't really tell, they're still like dirty, but I did use TSP. I always wipe down anything from the thrift store with TSP. While the base is drying, I'm gonna take my shower rings and I'm just gonna go ahead and close them and use my little detail tip Surebonder glue gun and go ahead and close those up so that they don't pop open for any reason. And then once that's done, I'm gonna lay them out and I'm going to start attaching the rings together with some hot glue. I will go back in with some E6000, but for now, I just wanna get it assembled, so I'm using hot glue. The rings are all glued together and now I just need to put the base and the top on. So I'm taking a roll of vinyl and sticking 1 roll up at the top set of rings and then 1 at the bottom. This will make sure that I get the rings even and I know exactly how far apart they need to be and that they're straight up and down and not all wide on the bottom and smaller on the top. And then all I'm gonna do, using a combination of E6000 and hot glue, which I do not do that very often, but for this one, because I needed it to stand up, that's why I'm using double glue. I don't really recommend it, but that's just my personal choice. I'm gonna go ahead and put the E6000 on and then I will secure it with some hot glue, let it dry, and this little tower cost me $1.50 to make. All right, so before I say goodbye to all of you, my shirt didn't really show up in the camera. Okay, if you know what this shirt is from, comment down below and tell me who your favorite person is in relation to this shirt. It could be any of them. I wanna know. Tell me if you know what that is. If you don't know what that is, let me know down below. Are you going to try to make one of these stencils? I would be curious to know if you are and what you plan on making. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really, really appreciate it. Please give this video a thumbs up if you are really enjoying these Triple T DIY type videos. Again, that playlist is down below in case you've missed some of my other tips, tricks, and techniques. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Creative on the Cheap for bonus DIYs, monthly challenges, all kinds of random things. And now I'm also on Twitter at Creative on the, stop there, don't add the word cheap. Twitter is a little bit more of my cheeky side. So until the next video, guys, I will see you then. Have a great day. Bye.